So he died just what he wanted. Took for granted, like she's so fine. And on the table, people dying. It's how did I do this? I turned it off. Hello, Sharon Weller here. I don't know what's going on because I got rid of that sound, yet it's still around. I know what I did. Alrighty. Now let's just hope that I've got this right. Hello there, it's Sharon Weller here. Welcome to my live broadcast today. I'm going to be talking about the send button again. It seems to be coming up as we go through, well, as we're heading towards the 60th day towards migration. And I've come across quite a few new leads that the only thing that stopped them in their tracks from going any further is that they didn't know what to do with their send buttons. So I'm just going to share my screen and find out who's joined me in the chat today. Oh, what did I do with the chat? Ah, there it is. Oh, good. Hi, Jules. I need to tell you something too after this. Chilkatai and hi, Han. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. So, like it said, we're going to talk about the send button. Now, there was 3 scenarios that I kept getting questions about. And yet, if they had if the member had only just hung around just a little bit longer, they would have found the answer on how to get them over the next step. Now, the most obvious answer is to do with the Kringle cash, is the $10 fee. For some strange reason, with everyone that I was dealing with, they had an issue with $10. They didn't have an issue with parting with $100 to buy extra Kringles. They had an issue with paying $10. So I don't know whether it was a mind thing, who knows, but that is one of the biggest issues going forward for them, is paying that $10 back fee. The other thing is, and this is what I said to them, that when you pay your $10 fee in Bitcoin, try and keep a copy of the actual transaction, not the sorry about that, but my throat still isn't 100%. Not the actual paying to the Bitcoin address, but the actual transaction when they paid the amount of Bitcoin to the Bitcoin address, if you know what I mean. That always got them. And the other thing was, in the trusted seller, inactive, active. And they just, I don't know, but they had paid it, but they didn't apply for a new wallet from the old wallet address, because a lot of these members were late 2016, early 2017 members. So that was one of the biggest hurdles for them, was finding out on how to fix those little hurdles. It's all fixable. So, and that is where we are at today. So I had actually gone through and helped quite a few of them this morning to get over that initial step. I should have saved at least one, so I could have done a dummy run with that person while I'm in my live broadcast. But I've done them all, and I just got them all through their send buttons. And then in the next couple of days, once they've got their queries returned from admin, they'll all migrate. So that's the beauty part about it. With my lots, what I did was take dump screens of everything. It's just, for me, it's just a safety issue. So if they have any issues or queries that they need to fix up, once they're migrated in their new wallet, they've got proof of all their dump screens. Be interesting. So that is some of the things I done today. But one of the biggest queries is, I'm going to take you off my screen again. Yeah, I've got a question on that for you, but I'll just Han is saying, I think the biggest problem is that most people do not have any crypto coins at all. You're absolutely right, because 90% of my lot didn't either. They didn't know where to look, no matter, even though I'm in Perth, I would Google the nearest Bitcoin ATM machine near them. Even though I did things that was virtually very close to their place of their home address, they still wouldn't go and get it. Now, the thing, and this is the thing, is because it presented them a new set of issues. They're dealing with paying their $10 Kringle cash back office fee. They would have preferred to have paid it with their card. So when that option was taken away from them, they had no choice but to deal with Bitcoin. But to them, Bitcoin was as foreign as TBC. So trying to explain to them, well, you know, we're going to open a blockchain account or join you up to a Bitcoin exchange. I also have been talking another language because it presented too many new issues. So the only way I could get around all of that was to pay their $10 fee myself through my exchange, Bitcoin exchange, and then they all just deposited cash into my accounts. They didn't have a problem with that. Initially, I didn't have a problem with that either. But then again, I thought, well, they've learnt nothing, because in the future, they're going to need to deal with Bitcoin until TBC coin has become of age. So did I help them out? Not really. But I got them over this hurdle. But going forward, they're going to come up against other hurdles, especially if they want to join anything like the Kringle code. So, you know, sometimes, like them, like the other members, I can see that they've presented with the TBC coin and they've taken it on open-heartedly. But when they come up against a little issue like $10, in their mind, it's not so little, because when you think about it, they have to pay. They have no option but to pay it with Bitcoin, because the credit card option was taken away. So that means that they have to learn a totally new system. Sometimes when you learn with cryptocurrency, it's outside their scope of learning if they've never dealt with cryptocurrency before. I can honestly say half of the lot had never even heard of Bitcoin until it was presented to them on that $10 fee. So it just makes a whole lot of issues appear for them. Now, Jules Ann said, difficulties getting Bitcoin is becoming widespread. Initially, the exchanges were reliable, but the fees are volatile, and that is correct. I can only see the fees going up again. We have quite a few options that are going on right now with not only cryptocurrency, but also the fiat currency. Now, the fiat currency, no matter which country you live in, is decreasing in value. It may not be obviously a huge amount, but each day it presents a different figure to what it was the day before. So you got the devaluing dollar that's going on worldwide. But since all currency is compared to the US dollar, you have a problem with that currency as well, because the US dollar currency is going down. Which makes cryptocurrency, I don't know if you could say a better option, or if you could say is well, there's always going to be something else out there. I like to think TBC is the main coin. Actually, I do wholeheartedly. Above all other coins, I believe in TBC. I do not believe the fiat currency. I would not rely on the fiat currency at all. Whatever's going to happen will happen within, my belief is going to happen within the next 3 years. So we're already halfway through 2018. Something is going to go within the next 2.5 years. I did put a figure on it yesterday, within 5 years. If you follow the financial, all the markets, if you follow those and you know how to read them, you will see there's been a steady decline for some time. Okay, I'll go back to the chat room. So to answer your question, Jules, yes, it is getting difficult to get hold of Bitcoin. Unless you are with a very strong exchange. I can't believe I put my coat on because I was cold. Chilkatai says, if you're working with your sponsor, ask them if they have Bitcoin. You pay your sponsor with cash and your sponsor will pay your fee. Yes, that's true. And most would. But these are the members that had walked away from TBC early. So when they walked away from TBC, I guess they walked away from their sponsor as well. But this is a main issue, and I think with us broadcasters, especially the ones that have been given these leads, I think 90% of the issues would be to do with the send button. Especially when you get, you know, the ones that answer your call for help. Jules, makes you wonder where their mindset is at to be happy to part with 100, but not $10. Boggles the mind. Exactly. I wondered that too. They're happy to part with 100 to buy more Kringles, but they're not happy to part with 10. I suppose there's, now this is me just guessing because I felt like that at the beginning myself. I hummed and hard about $10 until I finally paid it. But why did I hum and hard? One of the reasons is it took me a long time to work it out for myself. And one of the main reasons is I had to teach myself, well, I didn't actually. I got a friend to show me how to read the exchange, and then which exchange to join up to, and how to save myself once I joined up to these exchange, so I would never got hacked into. Oh. So it was to me a continuous learning curve. Now, I could not go to my sponsor and ask for help, because I can guarantee my sponsor knew zero. The only thing that even her sponsor knew zero. So when TBC came to us on this side of the world, we really didn't have a strong leader to teach us, because everybody was in a learning stage. So with me, it was learn the systems, and I'm talking about the Bitcoin systems, and teach the sponsors. Which is a really, which was totally new. But that is how it happened. So I can understand why people took a long time in thinking about paying their $10, or just gave up and walked away. Because believe me, back when I joined, there was no help from sponsors, because the sponsors was in the dark as much as I was. In fact, they were worse. So teach myself, or get somebody, teach, we go through it together, and then teach the sponsors who teach their sponsors, and so forth. What we know today, nobody knew then, a year ago. I was forever chasing my sponsor, poor woman. So I was trying to force her into finding out, but her sponsor was as much of as blind as she was, and going forward with TBC. So even though we saw the vision of this coin, when it came to help back then, really there was none. It was like muddled through it. And I can understand why these members had walked away. They were probably too frustrated going forward, or they did get in contact with their sponsor, and their sponsor didn't know how to help them. But it makes for a very interesting topic. So once they did go forward and pay their $10, they would gladly give up 100, because they've already gone through all the issues with the $10 fee. So anyway, that's my personal experience on how it happened. And Jules Ann said, I see the logic. Though for 100 US, you get 100, well, how many? 100 million cookies. And for $10, you get access to the web wallet for life in your Kringle cash office, back office, which you pay annually. If anybody told me right at the beginning, actually, no, it's reverse. I just wish I knew what I know today back right at the beginning, because it would have been so much easier to help and guide a lot of members or newbies to come on board, because I would have been able to completely immerse myself and themselves in TBC without trying to chase the answer. So actually, it was just fortunate. TBC and my interest in Bitcoin coincided at around about the same time. Now, I was able to I don't want to cough yet, but I might have to end my broadcast very soon. So after all the issues that I've come across, and I'm coming across more, but it all centers around the send button. So it's going to be an easy fix for me. I will just get them over the hurdle so they can migrate, because I don't believe in immersing them in the 004 wallet. They won't need to know that, because when they migrate, it's all about the 009 account. But it's really, really interesting as I'm fixing up all these issues of the issues that it brought out. I'm going to end, hello Andaria, I'm going to end my live broadcast before I go into a real bad coughing fit. So this is Sharon Weller saying goodbye for now. I'm going to stop sharing that. So I'm glad you didn't see me trying to not cough. And I'll see you all again tomorrow. So thank you. Bye.